Namaste. Yes, I got the information that you had some issues on structuralism in particular. So this morning we'll take up structuralism and let's try to understand it as best as we can. Make sure that you're ready with your notebooks and your ballpoint pens, pencils. So, structuralism. What is structuralism? So, if you have to define it, you could say that it's a 20th century intellectual movement and approach to the human sciences. Now, this ism, as you would see, is interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary in nature, and therefore, this ism holds that all human activity, note that very carefully, that all human activity and its products, even perception and thought itself, are constructed and not natural. And in particular, everything has meaning because of the language system in which we operate. So, I believe this is clear. So far as the definition is concerned, it's an intellectual movement. I was saying it's an intellectual movement, an approach that holds that perception, thought, everything is constructed and it's not natural, and everything has meaning because of the system, the language system. So what are the common ideas of structuralism? So there are four common ideas. The first, every system has a structure. Every system has a structure. Take for example, if you're talking of a chair has a structure. If you're talking of a bridge, the image which is generated in your mind is one of totality. Man, so the totality is what we are wanting to focus upon. Every system has a structure. It is the structure which determines the position of each element as a whole. Coming back to the chair, when you utter the word chair, the shape of the chair, the design of the chair, all that, forms the single unit or the element of the whole, which is the chair. So, every system has a structure. Structure determines the position of each element as a whole. And then, the third, that there are structural laws that deal with coexistence rather than changes. I'll repeat this once again. Structural laws deal with coexistence rather than changes. And finally, the fourth, structures are the real things that lie beneath. Structures are the real things that lie beneath the surface or the appearance of meaning. So, let's get this together first. Every system has a structure. Structure determines the position of each element as a whole. Structural laws deal with coexistence rather than changes. And finally, structures are the real things that lie beneath the surface or the appearance of meaning. Let's come to the third section of our discussion today. Structuralism, in terms of origin, structuralism has its origins in the work of Ferdinand de Saussure, a very important name, also called as the father of linguistics, 1857 to 1913. But then, although it has its location in terms of origin, it soon came to be applied to many other fields, including philosophy, anthropology, psychoanalysis, sociology, literary theory, and even mathematics. So what was the contribution of Ferdinand de Saussure? Ferdinand de Saussure developed the science of signs, S-I-G-N-S, based on linguistics, which of course is connected with what we refer as semiotics or semiology. He held that any language is just a complex system of signs. I'll repeat this once again. Ferdinand de Saussure said that any language is just a complex system of signs, and that every sign expresses an idea, and that the rules govern their usage, which of course are contextually related and dependent. Now, Ferdinand de Saussure goes on to refer to the underlying abstract structure of a language. When we talk of language, we're talking of something which is abstract. And that there are two terms that are used by Ferdinand de Saussure to, in fact, give it a point of articulation. One is langue and the other is a parole. Langue and parole are perhaps the concrete manifestations or the embodiments of parole. And Ferdinand de Saussure goes on to say that every individual sign is arbitrary, arbitrary, and that there is no natural relationship between a signifier and the signified. The signifier, of course, being the image, and the signified, of course, being the mental concept of the actual animal. So, let's sum up what we have studied. We referred to structuralism as a 20th century intellectual movement. The four common ideas, every system having a structure, and how there is, there are real things that lie beneath the surface, and the appearance of meaning. We spoke about how the term structuralism has its origin in the work of Ferdinand de Saussure, and how it is interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary in character. What were the points that we noted so far as the core ideas are concerned? Structuralism argues that any piece of writing or any signifying system has no origin, origin, and that authors merely inhabit pre-existing structures, which is of course referred as langue, the whole, the totality, and that enables them to make any particular sentence or story or the individual utterance parole. Ferdinand de Saussure concludes that any individual sign is essentially arbitrary. Hence the idea that language speaks us rather than we speak language. So now coming to the fourth section of our study of structuralism. Structuralism proposes a number of distinctions. Primarily there are four. Number one, la langue and la parole. Two, the synchronic and the diachronic analysis of language. The synchronic and the diachronic analysis of language. Three, the paradigmatic and the syntagmatic relationship. The paradigmatic and the syntagmatic relationship. And finally, the signifier and the signified. These are four distinctions which are proposed by structuralism. Let's make a recap of that. La langue and la parole, synchronic and diachronic analysis, paradigmatic and syntagmatic relationship, and the signifier and the signified. Let's study these terms a little more closely. Let's take up la langue. What is la langue? La langue is the system. Please note this very carefully. La langue is the system. the institution called language, which is a set of impersonal rules and conventions. So lang is trans-individual and abstract. Lang is trans-individual and abstract. La parole. What is la parole? La parole is the actual manifestation of language in speaking. La parole is the actual manifestation of language in speaking, which is taken as primary. Parole is individual and concrete. If la lang is trans-individual and abstract, la parole is individual and concrete. Let's come to the third, synchronic. If the study deals with the description of language at a given point of time, if the study deals with the description of a language at a given point of time, it is synchronic. And if the study deals with the description of a language with a period, over a period of time, or the changes that occur over a period of time or a course of time, it is called diachronic. So point of time, synchronic, period of time, diachronic. Let's come to the next, syntagmatic. What is syntagmatic? It is the linear arrangement of units as in a chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These units may be sounds, these units may be words, or these units may be sentences. So the syntagmatic is the linear arrangement, while paradigmatic is the vertical arrangement, as in a ladder. You have steps 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So these units may be again sounds, letters, words, sentences. And the best of examples is the menu card that one receives from the waiter when one goes to a hotel. The menu, which in a 5-star hotel shows the varieties of soups that you have, so that variety of soups and the variety of items that are listed gives you a paradigmatic choice. The way we eat, first the soup, then the first course, and then the second, and finally, of course, how you close. So syntagmatic being the linear, L-I-N-E-A-R, the linear arrangements of units as in a chain. We said that the units could be sounds, words, sentences. Paradigmatic is the vertical arrangement as you have in a ladder. The best of examples is the menu card. Now, these are primarily the core ideas. I hope this would help you in your study at the undergraduate level. Thank you very much for listening.